We are one day removed from West Virginia football's 2023 spring football game. We're going to talk about the highs and lows from the game. I'll give you my thoughts. We'll talk about the quarterback competition and what Neal Brown had to say in his press conference. So pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz. Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Pull that chair up and let me serve you up this shot of top-shelf college football content. On tap in today's episode, we are talking about West Virginia's Gold and Blue spring game, the stars from the game, the high moments, the low moments, and my takeaways. Now, first off, let's talk about who won the game. The blue team, which was the defense, won the game by a score of 53-52 on a walk-off extra point, or a walk-off field goal, I should say, as part of the competition portion of the spring game. Now, when you look at the game itself, yes, it was offense versus defense. Gold was offense, blue was defense. First thing I want to touch on is the quarterback competition. I mean, obviously, to me, when you watch this game, I don't know how anybody could watch this game and not think Garrett Greene was well ahead of Nicco Marchiol going into this season. Now, in his press conference after the game, Neal Brown talked about the fact that Nicco didn't get as good a protection as Garrett did, and he talked about how Nicco threw a few deep balls that the receivers didn't play right. And that's, in context, that is true. That's definitely could have happened. Nicco may not have gotten as much help as Garrett did. But with that being said, it's hard to watch that and not feel like Garrett is ahead of Nicco. Now, obviously, even if Brown in his back of his mind thinks Garrett's ahead of Nicco, he's not going to say that in public because he knows the Penn State coaches are probably watching. And I'll be surprised if he announces a starting quarterback more than a week or at least 2 weeks ahead of the Penn State game, because he doesn't want Penn State to know who his quarterback's going to be. Now, I don't know that it's really going to matter that much because both of these quarterbacks are going to play similar styles, or they're both mobile. So maybe that's not as big a factor this year as it would have been last year when you have two guys like Daniels and Greene who are completely different. But to me, honestly, he's probably going to ride this out as long as he can without announcing anything, just for the simple reason he wants to try not to give Penn State any head start on preparing. But that being said, maybe it really is a true competition there. And maybe Nicco is closer to Garrett than I realize. But from what I saw in the game yesterday, they're not that close. But when you look at the stats, Nicco was 6 of 12 passing, 58 yards, 50% completion percentage, 90.6 quarterback rating. Garrett Greene was 8 of 11, 156 yards, 1 touchdown, 73% completion percentage, 221.9 rating. Rushing, obviously, story of the day to me, Jahiem White. Jahiem White carried the ball 7 times, 91 yards, a touchdown, had that long run of 53 yards, which was his touchdown run, and he averaged 13 yards per carry. So to me, he was the offensive player of the day, in my opinion. Just played a fantastic football game. Now, to me, this really means more than what you saw from the quarterbacks because the quarterbacks couldn't get tackled. They were not letting them touch the quarterbacks. If the defender got just within basically arm's length of the quarterback, they were blowing the whistle. But the running backs were getting tackled. They actually had to bring them down, and Jahiem White was still able to scamper for 91 yards on the day on just 7 carries. So I felt like Jahiem White really proved to all of us Mountaineer fans why this staff recruited him and why we are so high on him as a fan base. Obviously, C.J. Donaldson had a really good day as well. He carried the ball 8 times for 36 yards, averaged 4.5 yards a carry. Did have the 1 touchdown. He looked pretty good coming off an injury. Jalen Anderson carried the ball 6 times for 20 yards. Tony Mathis Jr. carried it 3 times for 10 yards. Justin Johnson carried it 4 times for 16. Garrett Greene 5 for 16. So I feel like we've got this stable of running backs we've got. I think we're going to have 5 guys who legitimately could contribute and rush the ball this year for the Mountaineer team. 5. Obviously, you had Donaldson, Mathis, Justin Johnson, Jalen Anderson. I think Jahiem White has now proven he is going to be able to contribute as a true freshman to this football team. And that excites me because I think it gives us barring someone transferring out of the program, we may have the deepest running back room in the Big 12 and one of the deepest in the country. When you look at receivers, you've got Devin Carter, 3 catches, 77 yards. He had a really big day, was targeted only 4 times, and caught 3 of those passes. So that's a good percentage. His longest reception was 54 yards when he was able to beat cornerback Jacoby Spells over the top. Tight end Cole Taylor, big day for him. He really showed again why the staff went out and got him out of the transfer portal from LSU. 3 catches, 36 yards, had probably the play of the day with his one-handed grab over the middle. Really impressive catch he made there. He looked really good. Caught all 3 balls that was thrown to him. Jarrell Williams caught 2 balls for 9 yards, and then you had 9 other guys catch passes, including Cortez Braham, who caught a touchdown pass. He caught a slant across the middle, took it 40 yards for a touchdown. Obviously, you had Garrett Greene with a catch on a trick play for a touchdown. Jeremiah Aaron caught a pass. Hudson Clement, the walk-on from Martinsburg High School out of West Virginia, caught a nice pass. Will Dixon caught a pass at tight end. Preston Fox. So a lot of guys contributing at the receiver spot, but I was really impressed with Devin Carter. He looks like a veteran receiver, basically. Cole Taylor at tight end looks like a guy who's been there before. You could really tell the guys who have been there before, it's not their first rodeo. They looked ready to go. And I really think Devin Carter has a chance to be special this year for West Virginia, and Cole Taylor as well, for that matter. On the defensive side of the ball, the guy that I was most impressed with myself was Jairo Faveras. He had 6 total tackles, 4 solo tackles on the day, and just seemed to be all around the football. This guy has basically came out of nowhere, and he will likely be a starter this year for this team, and if not a starter, he'll definitely be on the 2 deep. But he has just really come a long way. I'm really proud of this young man and how far he's came in his career. Just one of those guys that starts out, barely just contributing on special teams, basically, to becoming what may end up being a full-time starter for this team. Andrew Wilson-Lamp had 4 tackles, 4 solo tackles. Lee Koba had a really good day with 4 tackles as well as Marcus Floyd. Now, on the back end, I was really impressed with transfer Montre Miller from Kent State. He had 1 pass breakup on the day, but there were a couple other balls he had really good coverage on. And so he looked really good covering receivers. Malachi Ruffin had a nice day. He had a pass breakup as well. Devon Hawkins, the transfer from Tennessee Tech, looked really good up front. So some really, really positive signs on the defensive side of the ball that I was excited about. And I think our defense today, I feel like our defense is ahead of our offense. But considering where our defense was a year ago, I think that's a good thing because they were in the bottom third of the country in defense. And if our defense could just become an average defense this year, top 50 defense, I think this can be at least a bowl team this year. So there again, performers of the day, offensively, Garrett Greene, Devin Carter, Cole Taylor, and Jahiem White. Defensively, Jairo Faveras, Lee Koba, Montre Miller, Malachi Ruffin, just to name a few. Now, what do I think is going to happen coming into the season, especially with the quarterback competition? My opinion, this is my opinion. I think at the end of the day, even though I'm hearing rumors that Nicco Marchiol has already been promised a job, I really think that when you look ahead at this thing, you're going into week 1 against the Penn State Nittany Lions, who will likely be a top 10 preseason team in the Big Ten Conference. How in the world can you not start the guy that has the most experience? It just makes no sense to me. And I just don't see how Nicco is going to be that much better than Garrett that he earns a start week 1. So my prediction is Garrett Greene starts the season as the quarterback. Now, will he finish the season as a quarterback? That's yet to be determined. But I just think if it was me today, I'm starting Garrett Greene at quarterback for the Mountaineers. I think they'll go out and get another receiver in the transfer portal to come in and help Devin Carter and Cortez Braham. I think we need another really good receiver. I think our running back room is great. I think, like I said, we're going to have one of the deepest running back rooms in the conference. When you look defensively, I really, really like what I'm seeing so far. I would like to see him go out and add 1 more linebacker, especially will linebacker. I think we need a little bit more depth there. I like the way the secondary is coming together. Wouldn't mind if they go out and maybe add 1 more guy. But I really think will linebacker, to me, is the one position you probably need to add in the transfer portal. But that's just my opinion. And then maybe you add 1 more offensive lineman, depending on how some of those young guys are developing. Now, another big story, the Jimmy Bell story. Jimmy Bell was able to play in this spring game. He had some good moments, and he had some bad moments. He had what I think is the only penalty of the day with a false start, a holding penalty. He did give up a sack as well to linebacker Caden Beiser coming off the edge. So he did have some moments that I'm sure he would like to have back. But, guys, you got to remember, this guy hasn't played competitive football since he was in high school in 2019, 2018? So it's been a while. He's been focusing on basketball the last 4 years of his life. But he's got the physical tools. It's just going to come down to, does Neal Brown think he can contribute and help this team this year or not? And also, he's going to have a conversation, he said, with Bob Huggins to see how they can work something out for Jimmy Bell and what his future looks like. And also, Jimmy, I'm sure, is going to have a say in what he feels comfortable doing going forward. With that being said, I ask you guys to please let me know in the comment section, what did you think about the spring game? What were the takeaways from you? Did you like what you saw from Garrett Greene? What do you think about Nicco's performance? What do you think about Jimmy Bell as well? I want to hear all your thoughts. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Please share it out with your friends. Drop that comment, and please hit the like button, the thumbs up button for me. Guys, there are several ways in my description box you can check out to help me out financially. I've got a merch store. You can check out my Fanatics link to do your Fanatic shopping. Proud to partner with Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. I've got a bag of their caramel coffee right now. It's absolutely delicious. It's not bitter. It's smooth. And I'm telling you, you need to go check it out for yourself. There's a link in my description box. Put Couz's, Couz', in the comment section. It'll help out my channel. Let them know you found out about it right here on Couz's Corner. With that being said, I really appreciate you tuning in to this show. And until the next one, Q Country Roads. West Virginia.